Follow my lead! Activating gravity sling!
Little help! Next time, why'd you learn how to use a gun? Tight! Vile individual!
Thank you, Newton. I'd hug you if I didn't have a rule about public displays of affection.
It's fine.
Oh,
Okay, all right. If you're done groping me, let's take care of the drones, right? All right, good.
Told you this is not a toy!
You're gonna get us killed. I can get us out of here.
I just got us out. Oh my God. That's November Ajax.
Pilots of unregistered Jaeger. This is the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps. Power down and exit your comm pod.
No, don't give up. You give up way too easy.
That's what they think.
Stop. You are in violation of Code 10, Section 14. Operation of an unregistered Jaeger.
Hang on!
I am hanging on.
Hang tighter!
How you doing, Nate?
It's Ranger Lambert.
Are you having a laugh?
Well, this is a military base. You remember how that works? Ranger Pentecost. And you must be Amara Namani.
Yes, sir. Ranger, sir.
Well, let's get you squared away. Oh, and try not to steal anything while you're here.
Did that haircut just call you Pentecost? As in badass stacker Pentecost? Pilot of Coyote Tango, hero of basically the whole world?
It's just a name.
Yeah, really cool name.
Plasma cannon! I think we pissed him off. Good. You remember our old move? Hell yeah. It looks hot. Go for his power core!
destroyed our cities and the monsters we created to stop them. We thought we had sacrificed enough. But the war we thought we finished is just beginning. And the only thing standing in front of the apocalypse is us.
War ready. War ready.
But it doesn't matter where you came from, who believed in you and who didn't.
War ready. War ready.
This is our time, this is our chance to make a difference.
War ready. War ready.
Now let's get it done!
That's what I'm talking about!
In my phone, 'cause I wanna get it on till I die. In my phone, 'cause I wanna get it on till I die.
They've evolved.
And they could wipe out all life.
Y'all remember me? Y'all remember me? In my phone, 'cause I wanna get it on till I die. Get it on till I die.
I think I could get used to this.
In my phone, 'cause I wanna get it on till I die.
There's something you need to see. Well, he's pretty big.
Fire everything you've got!
Get it on till I die. Get it on till I die. Get it on till I die. Legendary, live eternally.
Jake, your father always said he wanted you to be a pilot.
He said a lot of things. I'm not a hero like he was.
The kaiju. They're gonna come back. I'm not gonna be stuck waiting for someone else to come save my ass.
Cadets, you better gear up.
This is the way the world ends.
How'd they get into our world?
Someone let them in. Someone from our world.
Who is that?
Definitely not one of ours.
Let's do this.
This is your chance to make things right.
We're gonna need more pilots.
We have him. There are pilots we remember as legends, but they didn't start out that way. They started out like us. This is our time to make a difference. Do you understand? Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
One way to find out.
That's what I'm talking about!
Gonna be a long day.
What do we do?
Y'all remember me?
We fight!
Overdose, those on top of me.
This one.
Getting a chance to do Pacific Rim Uprising, it was that childhood dream come true. I get to play with giant mechs and giant monsters, and I get to destroy cities, except now it's not men in suits and it's not models. It's really high-level CGI, so it looks absolutely realistic. In the first movie, you have the American Jaeger, the Australian Jaeger, the Chinese Jaeger. I wanted to make it a world Jaeger fighting force. So in this movie, what you don't have is different nationality Jaegers. The Pan-Pacific Defense Corps is one unified body now. So they have together rebuilt the Jaeger program from the ground up. So it really is a coming together of the world and putting differences aside. I really thought that Charlie Day, who plays Newt, and Bern Gorman, who play Gottlieb, were an emotional linchpin of this movie, especially carrying over from the previous movie, that their relationship really formed a glue that helped hold things together. And I really wanted to explore where these two best friends are 10 years later. I'd seen Scott in a few things, and I thought he was really interesting and had the right military bearing. I love it when you cast a character, and as soon as you see them, you can get a sense of, okay, I understand who this is. And Scott really brought that. And he also brought to it, he was very clear that, look, I don't want to be just a soldier. You know, I want to make sure that there's some levels to this guy, which was important. We have a multinational cast for the cadets, and I really wanted to show people from all over the world coming together. So we have Russia represented, we have New Zealand and Australia, we have China, Japan, the United States, South America, India, and if I could add 20 more cadets, I would have added more from all over the world, but I wanted it to feel as inclusive and representative as possible. This may come as a shock and a surprise, but you will see giant mechs fighting giant monsters, which for me as a fan is that's the first thing that I want to go see. Is that's what gets me in the seat. What gets me to stay in the seat are interesting characters and story dynamics and a positive message, which I think the world in its state these days could really use. That we are stronger together. We can put our differences aside and we can beat the monsters no matter who they are, no matter how big they are. We can come together and we can win.
Herman, what is this? How did you get in here? I do have PPVD credentials, and besides, everyone else seems a bit preoccupied with the killer drones. Your boss just set off. No. She used you. She lured you with money and a fancy title, and while you were basking in the glow, she took your research and she twisted it. What? You really think that?
Kiss John and you give him that look as you're leaving, just favor your left side.
They're constantly forced to work together without no clarity as to whether they like each other or not. But I think that when Jake and Amara shipped over to the Shatterdome in China, they see their similarities and they help each other navigate through an environment that they both don't understand. Well, she doesn't understand fully, and Jake's kind of lost touch with what it means to be a part of that environment. So they find a great sibling relationship with each other where Jake's kind of like an older brother. I absolutely love working with Kaylee because Kaylee, for some reason, reminds me of me the same way Jake, the same way Amara reminds Jake of himself. And it's cool because you're able to look through someone's eyes and see your past in a sense, and see that innocence and that fresh new feeling when it comes to approaching a role. And we just genuinely have a really, really good bond and a good chemistry. And so it's been lovely working with that little girl. I was drawn to the franchise because of the opportunity, obviously, as a producer, to have my first co-producing gig alongside a studio that I really, really do admire. And secondly, because the role was fantastic. And thirdly, Steve DeKnight, who is a fantastic director who I've always wanted to work with. After he's worked on Spartacus and Daredevil, he's someone that is new, but a person that's a first-time director on a feature that I felt like it'll be great collaborating with him. So it felt like a fantastic opportunity. I think it's just the scale of it, the adventure. I think everybody, to a certain extent, has felt that feeling when you play with your action figures, or when you watch a Godzilla movie or a King Kong film. It's like the scale of a beast or of a creature going through a city creates an instant excitement. And I think what Pacific Rim does is it gives an answer back to those monsters that we've grown up watching. So we love King Kong, we love Godzilla, but if they were going to attack us, what would we have? And we have the Jaegers. And so seeing that face-off is like getting a ticket to the best boxing match ever. Yeah, what stands out to me in this movie is that it definitely does have an international appeal. Not only through the characters, but through the message of having a common enemy and people from all around the world having to work together for the survival of the planet. Because it's got to a point where there is no fight against countries anymore. It's like, we've got big lizards just running rampant through our cities all over the world, and they don't care. They're in unison, so we have to be. And so that gives a strong message of unity. And you see when you go to the Shaterdome in China that there are people from all around the world that have been flown in for a common cause. And that in itself makes this story diverse and makes it energetic, and you're getting different characters, so there's someone in there for everyone.
And make the world a better place.
Try not to slug each other right up here.
Camera set.
Here we go, ready, and action.
Amara. The next Jaeger you built. Make it
My generation, we were born into war. Giant monsters attacked our world. We called them Kaiju.
What Pacific Rim does is it gives an answer to those monsters. So we built some monsters to fight back. We have the Jaegers.
Since the first movie, humanity's had 10 years to redesign the Jaegers and prepare for another attack.
The advances that we have between the first film and the second film, we need upgrades.
That's what I'm talking about!
They're bigger than life. The special abilities that some of these Jaegers have are pretty damn cool.
I really wanted to preserve the spirit of the first movie, that you have humanity coming together to fight a common enemy. No matter how big they are, we can come together and we can win.
Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
One way to find out.
It's very cool having a common enemy and people from all around the world having to work together for the survival of the planet.
It's our turn to save the world.
3, 2, 1.
I think what really captures the imagination of people when they see mechs and monsters, it hits a primal sweet spot.
Get up! Burn it down! We've got this! Fire everything you've got!
Okay, so let's start talking about this movie because it is so epic It
Oh,
is
yeah.
such an amazing movie, just full of action. Can you talk about that?
I mean, this movie is larger than life. It's epic. It's a scale that is hard to imagine. It's nice. I mean, knowing that Pacific Rim handled the giant world, the giant realm, in which the heroes are kind of like semi-gods. For me, it was something that I loved being involved in, and the scale is just absolutely crazy to me. And we had fun with that.
And there was like non-stop action. There's not a second where you're sitting down.
I mean, in Pacific Rim, I mean, is non-stop action. I mean, the pace is fast, and that's because of the kaiju. I mean, once they have their first attack, it just doesn't stop. And you know, we're playing catch up as human beings in this movie.
And I love your character because he's the hero, yet he's also an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And I love that he plays a father figure, and it's you with Kelly, who is just phenomenal in this role as well. There's so much empowerment.
What's great about this is that, well, it's a movie with a whole bunch of young people, but within that group, you find that, you know, Jake takes kind of like a mentor figure for Kaylee's character, Amara. But at the same time, there's something that each of them can learn from each other, and they form a tight-knit group.
And you're also a producer on this film, so that's
Yes.
kind of incredible. So tell me about shaping this film, not only as a producer, but also as an actor.
I mean, coming into this movie as an actor was a process that I knew about, that I was used to, and that I was on top of. But then also coming into this as a producer, it being new for us at my company was something that was definitely a marathon. It was a marathon run. You know, I had to jump on the horse while it was moving, and learn different things and discover different things at the same time. But also in terms of my training and the education that I've been able to collect on the way, I was able to, you know, exercise that during this process, and it was fun. I enjoy it. I'm doing it again.
That's awesome. Let's talk about some of the challenges in this movie, because not only did you just get on a horse that was already running, you ran a lot in this movie in like full armor.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Did you expect so much physicality while filming this?
I mean, first, you know, talking to Steve Knight, our director, and then speaking to our producing team about the ideas they had for Pacific Rim, like I knew it was going to be very, very physical. We knew we didn't want to just go into the world of the Jaegers and the action just to exist within the main fight. We wanted there to be some form of action in Jake's life, you know, as a Jaeger parts stealer. And so that's something that we implemented. And as, you know, they would write ideas and we would go back and forth, and I was just like, wow, an actor's actually supposed to do this. Are we sure we're not doing too much? But, you know, it worked out. You know, more action, more fun.
And speaking of fun, you guys have so many toys that are so interesting on the set.
Oh, yes.
And of course, behind the scenes. Tell me your favorite.
I mean, this one we're sitting in right here, the robot head for Gypsy, which was attached to a hydraulic that moved. And so this was definitely my favorite little toy on set to have fun in.
Okay, Scott, this movie is such an epic spectacle. Can you talk about the action in it? It's nonstop.
You know, this movie is an epic spectacle, right? It is. That's very well said. It's such a big movie. These movies are always so big and complicated to put together. They take such a collaboration and such a coordinated effort to get everybody on the same page, and then they take, you know, several years to complete, even after a shooting has finished. It's always so great to see when it finally comes together. And then, you know, you told me how much you enjoyed the film, which, you know, when that all can come together, that's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. So what made you say when you read the script, I have to do this movie again? I have to reprise my role.
What made me want to do this film? Well, I was a fan of Guillermo del Toro. And what he created in the first one. I thought he created a really fun universe. And, you know, when they asked me to read the script, I said, yeah, of course. I was excited to read it. And then I really liked the dynamics between John and I, and the sort of this fun new storyline.
And I love the female empowerment. It's not just female empowerment, but there's a lot of youth empowerment as well.
There is. I'm sort of the mentor to the youth group here. I'm the tough love of the movie, which I thought was kind of fun. You know, a lot of these young these young kids were, 15 years younger than me in some case. 15 to, 10 to 15 years younger than me. So I kind of was the older big brother type character.
So let's talk about the universe, because we're talking about how, excuse me, you have like all of these epic battle scenes, but talk about how the universe has grown so exponentially. In this movie.
How has this universe grown? Well, it's it takes what Guillermo del Toro has created from the original film, but we fast forward 10 years in the future. So, what I can think about is, even today, if we were to fast forward 10 years in the future, I mean, would we have self-driving cars? Would we, how further along would technology be? 10 years is a long time, technology-wise. So I think we've really sort of stepped it up.
And how is it working with John as well as working with Kaylee? I mean, you guys have such great chemistry on screen.
Sure, I think, oh, wow. I mean, John and Kaylee are both very talented, and they're really great to have in the film, and they were so great to work with. They made my job easy.
And I have to ask you, so many fun toys on screen, and I'm sure behind the scenes, do you have a favorite?
Oh, do I have a favorite toy? I mean, I gotta give it to the Jaegers. Gypsy.
And speaking of Gypsy and the Jaegers, you guys got really physical in those like full armored suit, and I know that you've done that before, but did you expect it to be this physical again, and was that super challenging for you?
Was it challenging? Was it physically challenging? It was. That suit proved to be a pain in my ass, and it's hard to do everything. I think what we were doing without the suit, right? We were running on a treadmill on a motion rig. You have special effects. Then you add the suit to it, which weighs, I don't know, 30 pounds. You add that to your movements, and it became, a very physical movie all of a sudden. Yeah.
Okay, Kaylee, this is such a cool visual spectacle.
Of course, yes.
Can you describe it?
Well, I mean, it's so crazy when you're making the film because, the practical sets are incredible, and you feel like you're in the world. But after you go see the finished product, you're like, oh wow. I mean, all the green screen work that you did is actually coming together, and you're like, wow, that's way better than I imagined it in my head. So it's an interesting project to work on as an actor when half the movie isn't even done when you do the last scene. But they did such a great job, and the fight sequences are incredible.
And it was so surprising because the original Pacific Rim, there were a lot of, there was a good split of men as well as women that really loved the film. And this time it's just like, there's so much empowerment, but not just like youth empowerment, but also female empowerment. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was such a great opportunity for it being my first film, but also playing such an important young character who is going to be a role model to young girls, I hope, when they come and see it. And she's so smart and educated and holds her own so well and doesn't take no for an answer. So all those things in the first project that I'm doing was such an honor. And I'm excited to see what young girls say and what they think of it after they see the film.
Was it nerve-wracking at all to have this big movie be your first movie in Hollywood?
Yeah, I'm still freaking out. Even today, like what's going on? I mean, yeah, I never could have imagined even being the female lead in a movie in general, and then also being a part of this amazing world that Guillermo created, and then working with Steven, who was a first-time director, and collaborating with him, and all the giant sets, and going outside the country for the first time for me, and working with John Boyega, and so all of that was a huge shock to me, and I'm so grateful for it.
And when you read a script like that, what is it that jumps out to you?
When I watched the first Pacific Rim, I fell in love with it. So I already had an idea and a base to it, and then reading the script to see how they're going to continue the world and how it was such a fun story and so many new characters being introduced, intertwining with the old characters, and I feel like they just did it really well. And Yeah, I think it's going to be such a fun family film for everyone to see, and whether you've seen the first one or not, it's going to be a fun ride.
And this is so interesting because you guys are wearing some like stiff armor, and you guys get so physical doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you've heard about it.
Yeah.
So did you expect that it would be this interesting and fun and yet so challenging to film those scenes?
I mean, definitely the physical aspect was a whole different world for me. I'd never done anything. I'd never worked out, never... yeah. I don't run. I didn't run back home. No, so, I mean, we were in the gym for 1 to 2 hours every single day. Even when we'd do 12-hour days, and then we'd come right back to the hotel and work out for 1 to 2 hours. But the good thing was that we were all in it together as a cast, so it actually turned out to be really fun working out together.
Okay, so my last question is: you have so many fun toys on the set. What was your favorite, or did you steal? Did you take anything for a memento?
I requested for my helmet, so hopefully that'll come in, because no one else. I mean, it was fitted for me, and like, who gets to have a super suit helmet all the time? So I'm gonna get that, and then also just playing in Scrapper was super fun. So I think that one was my favorite thing to play around with on set.
Okay, guys, so I've been talking to everyone about the biggest challenge of the movie. A lot of it was physical for them, running in those suits. So what was your biggest challenge when filming this movie?
Try not to laugh when working with Charlie. Is
That's your biggest challenge?
Not my biggest, but yeah. It was nice to be back, it was nice to be back in the sandbox and having a new energy, new cast, apart from a few of us, and
right.
It wasn't so much a challenge as a exciting to be back.
I think the biggest challenge is honoring the characters that you did in the first movie and trying to make sure that in this new movie it seems like a progression from those characters. But was it challenging? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a fun challenge.
It's a fun challenge, yeah.
Were you guys pleasantly surprised by how epic of a spectacle it is and how much action and adventure is in this film?
Yeah, I mean...
It's always surprising to see one of these films when they're done, especially for us, because so many of our scenes take place in laboratories and not like out in the major action sequences. So then when you get to see them, you sort of see what the rest of the people have been working on in the movie, and you, in some way, experience the movie for the first time.
Sure, I've got nothing but admiration for the people that work, the vis effects and the hours and hours and hours of detailed work that goes into it. So it's actually a really nice surprise when you see the finished product.
And talk about the finished product. Talk about like some of the action scenes and stuff, because you guys said that you guys did get to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it in IMAX.
Yeah,
I think if you're going to see the spectacle and the scale of the thing, do it properly. But
they're massive action sequences, and huge destruction, and the speed of them is it's quite a spectacle.
And I love that this film, I mean, just the fact that it's like robots against like human-run robots. I mean, it's everything that you want to see constantly, but it's also got a lot of heart in it.
Sure.
Thanks to like the mentoring, the youth, the female empowerment. Like this lead that's so spunky and smart. Can you talk about some of the other characters?
Yeah, it was actually a real pleasure meeting the new cast. Kaylee and in fact all the other young pilots, and John was on this as well. From day one, there was a very collaborative, energetic, a way of working. It felt like there was real momentum to it. And also we travelled, we went to Sydney in Australia and the Gold Coast and to China, and it was wonderful being part of this sort of travelling circus, It
was exciting to see. They've taken this movie and they've put it on the shoulders of a new young cast. For us, it's fun to come and reprise our roles, and we're there for a bit, but the storyline is really weighing on the shoulders of this younger cast. Some of these people, it was their first movie, and that joy and excitement that they bring to set, just getting to be a part of a major movie, is a good reminder for us about how lucky we are to do what we do.
So what is it about this movie that made you guys say, I really want to come back, I want to reprise my role, and I want to be a part of this again?
Back in 2013, it was an original live-action universe. That doesn't come along that often, you know, and so it was lovely to come back into that very complex world. You know, personally, I'm a sci-fi and genre fan. I like escaping to other worlds, you know, mentally, and so it was exciting to come back and play in that. Yeah.
For me, I really wanted to. I didn't want to walk away and abandon what Guillermo del Toro had started, and he wanted this to be a big franchise, and he'd written this wonderful character and given me this opportunity. And even though he wasn't able to direct this one, I still wanted to be a part of this world that he created. So I really wanted to honor that.
Last question. There are so many fun toys that are on the set all the time, as well as behind the scenes.
Yeah.
What was your favorite toy to play with or interact with, or perhaps like just take a steal of
Yeah,
and bring it home?
I like playing with brains. You know, kaiju brains. They've got a very interesting texture. You know, it's always fun.
Yeah,
manipulating.
Just some of the sets that I was in were really, you know, people suspended from the drone pilots who are in these rigs and they have these helmets on and they're there all day. And thank God I was not in one of those. But it was really interesting to look at them and say, "You okay up there, pal? You know, somebody get this guy a water." But it was a great set to be on.
Hi guys, John Boyega here. I play Jaeger pilot Jake Pentecost in my new movie, Pacific Rim Uprising. Pacific Rim has some of the most creative fans in the world. Now your passion has inspired us every day to make sure this new film delivers all the crazy awesomeness you guys deserve. So to say thank you, I'm excited to announce that we are looking for 2 Pacific Rim superfans to become a part of the movie. In Pacific Rim Uprising, we reveal the Shatterdome's Hall of Heroes, a memorial that shows holograms of all the greatest Jaeger pilots throughout the history of the Kaiju War. This is your chance to become a part of that lineup on screen alongside Pacific Rim's most legendary heroes. How are we going to find the biggest Pacific Rim superfans? Well, you're going to show us. Share your fandom and it can be anything. Jaeger cosplay, fan videos, kaiju body art, stories, music, tattoos, whatever. Show us how Pacific Rim has inspired you. Tell us your story and you get the chance to become a part of ours. We can't wait to see what you're going to come up with. Visit gojaeger.com for more information and I'll see you in the drift.